Before you listen to this BBC podcast, I want to tell you why I love podcasting. Hi, my name's Tommy Dixon, and I make podcasts for the BBC. I'm a big fan of stories, always loved a good book. But when I started commuting for my first job, I discovered podcasts. I was blown away by how a creative idea and the right mixture of sounds could take you into a whole new world full of incredible stories. You know, the type that make you go, wow. And that kind of inspired me to give it a go myself, which, to cut a long story short, led to a BBC training scheme and a whole new career giving other people that exact same feeling. So if you want to hear amazing stories that make you go, wow, like I did, they're just a tap or a click away on BBC Sounds.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Hello and welcome to the Scottish Football Podcast, bringing you up to speed on everything you need to know about the national game quicker than it takes VAR to check for offside. It's Thursday, the 15th of February. I'm David Currie, and coming up...
The header's in! And finally Rangers put the game to bed, and the Rangers boss once more!
As Rangers draw level with Celtic, is the title race going down to the wire? Also...
There's the ball in, Duke, it's off to find it in! They've done it! From 3-0 down, Aberdeen are level!
After Aberdeen's miraculous comeback, was their 3-3 draw with Motherwell the match of the season so far? And...
You'd have that feeling you were going to win it. You'd have that confidence. And yeah, I wouldn't mind another late winner on Friday.
We'll take a look at the Championship and hear from Raith Rovers club captain Ross Matthews ahead of a huge game with Dundee United.
This is the Scottish Football Podcast from BBC Sport Scotland.
Good day, folks. David Currie here with Ian McCall, manager of many clubs back in the day. Played a bit as well. Always nice to see you, Ian. Plenty to get through today. But first, let's quickly run through the latest Scottish football headlines. Rangers have drawn level on points and goal difference with Premiership leaders Celtic, but their 3-1 win over Ross County at Ibrox wasn't enough to claim top spot. In an extraordinary match at Pittodrie, Aberdeen came from 3 goals down to draw with Motherwell. Both sides had winning goals ruled out by VAR, with Neil Warnock calling it ridiculous. 6 Premiership clubs critical of SPFL governance want its chairman and chief executive to attend a meeting of all 42 clubs. And with Europa League knockouts taking place tonight, Rangers will find out their opponents for the last 16 tomorrow.
The Scottish Football Podcast.
But Ian, hope you're well. If you're sitting comfortably, we will begin about last night. I think that was a movie back in the 80s, but it's an apt way to start today's podcast. Rangers versus Ross County. 3-1 to Rangers, Ian. But if you have a look, if you drill down into the stats, Rangers had 43 shots. George Wickens, 19 saves, a record in the Premiership era, and his team still come out on the wrong end of the result.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got to, these games, when you're thinking you've got to score 3 or 4 games, and I won't be the only person that works on this side of it that'll say, you win the game first, you don't really worry about that. I mean, it seems to me, I just watched the highlights, it seems to me you could have got goals that have put into the top of the league, but you know, it could have been at 1 each, it could have been a wee bit, I mean, dropping points last night would have been an absolute killer for Clermont, and I think it's a good result. I think they could have won top of the league, but they're joint, so, you know, so it's a good way to go. It's a little bit pedantic, and it's just on goals scored, I think, so good result for Rangers. They could have scored more, but the main thing was they had to win the football match. They did that.
A couple of goals for Cyril Dessers. I heard the fans singing last night, nice one, Cyril. That's a wee blast for the past. I remember as a boy growing up, used to hear fans singing that back in the 70s. Nice one, Cyril. Nice one, son.
Cyril Regis, a marvellous centre for West Brom.
I remember that as well. But Dessers, it's beginning to look as though that number 9 jersey is fitting him a wee bit better.
I listened to some of Billy Dodge's comments last night online, and you know, whether he needs 3-4 chances to score a goal. So I think for many players that played at a level, I think the jury's still out. But I mean, I think he is turning the corner a little bit, but he still does miss too many chances in terms of, you know, and when you're playing in the big games, when you're playing Celtic or a European game, if you only get one chance, I mean, you look at Lawrence, you look at Miovski, they're not really taking 3 or 4 chances to score a goal. But I certainly think it shows a lot for the boy to have, I'm not saying he's turned it around, but certainly, to get through the stickings, receiving from everybody, and to manage to get 30, whatever it is, 13, 14 goals is terrific. To get 2 last night in a very important game was good for him as well.
Don Currie's first match in charge of Ross County. He's still interim manager, but he's characterising it as a probationary period. How do you think the probationers will be feeling after that game last night?
Well, I never heard his presser after the game. I take it was quite timid compared to his predecessor, but I mean, listen, ultimately, whether you're in the job for 1 game or 900 games or 1,500 games, you'll get judged on results. And you can have all the sound bites you want. You've got to win football matches, and if you lose too many, you won't be in job. I mean, some managers are dealt a bit harsher than others, but I think he's got a chance to do well there. It's a club that he knows very, very well. He's been there for a number of years. I don't know Don particularly well, but it's not the place he would have wanted to go for his first league game as Ibrox. That's not your perfect starter.
Now, Philippe Clement, when he came in to Rangers, there were 7 behind Celtic. It's now eeksy-peeksy, nip and tuck, characterise it how you will, but I mean, it's looking as though this title race is going to go, as we said at the top of the show, right down to the wire. Yeah,
proper title race, and we've not had one as tight as this for a wee while now. Even when Celtic didn't win it, and Rangers won it, they won it comfortably. So, yeah, I mean, both sets of fans will be incredibly excited, and probably the other sets of fans around the country will be find it incredibly dull. But yeah, I mean, I think it is exciting. I think you could call it just now as he Tavernier's 3 assists last night at Celtic. I think are looking for some big players to come back. I think that could be the key to your Hitatis, your Cameron Vickers, all these guys. I think they need to be back to finish ahead of Rangers.
I'm not going to ask you to call it now, but you can if you like.
All the momentum quite obviously is with Rangers. I mean, you don't have to be in football to realise that. I think the crucial part of it, as I say, is Celtic getting their 3 or 4 kind of heavy hitters back. If they do, I still think Celtic may just finish ahead. But right now, the smart money would be Rangers. So it could go either way, is what I'm saying.
Right, let's head north, Ian. A remarkable game at Pittodrie. Aberdeen 3, Motherwell 3 was how it finished. The Dons 3 goals down after 26 minutes. Then Neil Warnock made a couple of changes and they fought back to earn a point. But what a night that was at Pittodrie. I was going to ask if you've ever seen anything like it, but I'm sure you have.
Yeah, I've seen miles better games than that, yeah. But listen, it's a great game, but Neil will take a lot of credit for making changes that got them back into it. But you wonder, the end result, what the atmosphere would have been like if Barry had still been in charge and it was a 3-3 draw at home in Motherwell. I'm sure the fans expected to win that football match, but interesting that Duke getting the 2 goals, he's back. I think that's good for Aberdeen. And Bayer seems to have had he was a bit of a, I'm not saying a joke figure, but a bit of a fun figure for a lot of football fans. He's now scored 6 or 7 goals in the last 6 or 7 games. So, yeah, I mean, it would have been a fun night at Pittodrie, but ultimately it's not a great result for Aberdeen.
No, it's not. I was having a wee look at the table, Ian. When they're in that weekend and not a teams on 26 points now, Hibs, Aberdeen and Motherwell in 7th spot. But if you look at the points differential between Aberdeen and Hearts, I mean, they're 22 points behind Stephen Naismith's team. I think we can rule out a 3rd place finish for the Dons now.
Well, listen, what Barry Robson did last year was incredible to get 3rd place. But they weren't 22 points behind, and it was still 8. So, yeah, I mean, listen, they've just got to battle for that. It looks like there's only really going to be one spot in the top 6. I mean, Sabim and Kilmarnock will hate me saying that, and particularly Derek. But it looks like there's only going to be one place, so there's a lot of clubs fighting for that 6th place in the top 6, which means a hell of a lot of difference in terms of finance.
I mean, Motherwell are just outside the top 6 at the moment, as they kind of lead that pack. They're on 26 points, and their fortunes have reversed it in a positive way recently?
Yeah, I mean, they have. Listen, he's just a young manager. I've spoke to him many times recently about various things, and I mean, he must have been feeling the heat, of course he was. I think he handled it very well. You know, I think that's a good result for them, even though they were 3-0 up. But, you know, I still think with the section of the support that, you know, going down to Morton and getting beat, of course, it's a very, very difficult place to go when they're flying. I just think he needs to turn some league points into wins a bit quick. I mean, there's an outside chance for Motherwell to get to the top 6.
Well, both managers last night were united in criticising VAR after the game. They both could have had a winner, 2 goals ruled out. I've had a wee look at it this morning. The offside against Majowski. Oh, did you see that, Ian? It's tight, isn't it? It's marginal. I wouldn't like to be.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like to be sitting in VAR calling that one.
No, that was a hard one. I think the advantage should always go with the attacker. You know, it was so tight. I watched it 2 or 3 times. I don't think you can actually tell. But it's just taking so long. You can understand the Majowski thing taking time on that one. Other decisions this season are just taking so long to try and that's just not a great experience for supporters.
The Championship, always a great experience for supporters on the other hand though, Ian. And on a Thursday we like to take a bit of a look at that division, and this week promises to be an absolute belter because on Friday night, second placed Raith Rovers hosts table toppers Dundee United at Starks Park. It's live on Sports Scene, and with just 4 points between the sides, the stakes could hardly be higher. We'll get former United boss Ian's thoughts on it in a moment, but first I caught up with the Wraiths club captain Ross Matthews to take a look ahead to the match.
This is the Scottish Football Podcast.
So Ross, this is it. The top 2 going toe-to-toe on Friday night. United 4 points ahead of Raith Rovers. It's on your own home patch, but it's not just another game, this, is it?
Yeah, it is a big game. There's no hiding away from that. We're seeing today that there's 7,000 tickets sold as well, so it's almost a sellout. It's a game that all us players want to play in. So yeah, it is a massive game. Like you said, we're 4 points behind them. We're aiming to make that 1 point. So yeah, looking forward to it.
You're smiling as you say that. I wonder if you'll be smiling after this one. I was just going to say, Ian Murray says it's not a must-win. Do you agree with that? And even if you don't agree with it, can you see what his rationale is?
No, 100%. It's not a must-win, but you go into the game wanting to win it, trying to win it. Yeah, if we don't win, there's still, I think with what we've played, 22 games, still 14 games left. So that won't define the season, just that one game. We've put ourselves in a good position just now. Obviously, it could have been better the last few games. We're disappointed with the results, but the way we've started the season, if someone had offered us at the start of the season saying we'd be second in February, 4 points behind United with a game to go 1 point behind them, I think every single one of us in the changing room would have taken it, to be honest.
I was having a wee look through the stats for Raith Rovers this season. You've lost the last 3 in the league. I think it's lost 5 on the spin in all competitions. Before that, it was something like a 15-game unbeaten run. Do you think that's just a kind of almost recent form, just almost an inevitable dip, that form was just too good to sustain almost?
I think it's the same every year in the Championship. Everyone can beat everyone. All the games are so close. When we're winning games, it was still close games, and we've lost the last couple, and they've all been close games as well. Yeah, because we went in such a big run, there's always going to be a sticky part in the season. No one goes through a full season winning every game, especially in this league. All the teams are so similar, so obviously it's not ideal, it's not what we wanted, but everyone's confident in the changing that we can turn it around and get back to the form that we were in before Christmas.
What gives you that confidence?
Just our style of play, to be honest. I think we've got, in my opinion, the best players in the Championship, best squad, one of the best squads I've been involved in. If you look at even the bench in every game we've played recently, it's been so strong, got so many players that score goals. I think we're just an exciting team to watch. We'll always feel like going into the game that we'll score goals, and obviously that gives you a greater chance of winning.
You had that wee habit of scoring late goals as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I know. It was a bit of a freak situation. I've not seen something like that before, but it just shows like the attitude around the team. We didn't give in to any game, and after we'd done it a couple of times, it actually felt like as soon as we equalised or it was going late into a game and it was level or it was close, you'd have that feeling you were going to win it. You'd have that confidence. And yeah, I wouldn't mind another late winner on Friday.
Now, your own personal story, I know you've had real serious injury issues. Just talk us through what that's been like.
Yeah, on a personal note, this season and last season have been a bit frustrating for myself. The season before, I was playing for injury. I had a problem with my foot. So I went to go see a specialist kind of at the end of that season. And I was, in hindsight, it's easy to say in hindsight, but I was given some bad advice to get a surgery on my foot, which put me out a bit longer than what I'd planned for. So yeah, last season was a bit of a nightmare. I didn't really play at all. And then finally got back for this season and picked up another niggly injury in pre-season. So that's me kind of just got back to full fitness after Christmas. But I'm feeling really good now. It's just kind of, obviously when you're coming back into a team that's doing so well, it's difficult to get into the team. So I'm kind of just having to be patient at the moment. Hopefully I'll get a chance soon.
Must be absolutely champing at the bit.
Yeah, exactly. It's been so long. Having to watch the games, it's different for a fan because different from being a fan, because you're constantly watching the game, imagining you were playing in it. Obviously, it's good when you're winning, but it's also you're thinking, I want to be part of it. As much as the boys in the changing room have been amazing, including me and everything, and making me feel part of it, it doesn't feel the same unless you're actually playing, I think.
You must be fairly mentally resilient to come through something like that.
Yeah, I think all injuries are tough. There's guys in our changing room like Lewis Vaughan that have been through a lot more than I've been through. But I've been travelling with him, so I can speak.
He keeps you going.
Yeah, exactly. I can speak to him all the time, and his injuries were a lot worse than mine. So yeah, there's been difficult times, but I'm just glad that it's over with. Touch wood. That's the end of the injuries.
So United bring in what you mentioned that you touched on at the crowd there. 7,000 tickets gone. 3,000 of them are Dundee United fans. I mean, that'll be bigger than a lot of crowds in the Premiership this weekend.
Yeah, it's massive. You see that basically all our games this season from the time that I've been at the club 10 years now, and all our attendances this season have been way more than what I'm used to. The crowd's been brilliant, home and away. But yeah, Dundee United are a big club, so they'll bring a lot of fans too, and there should be a really good atmosphere.
Raith Rovers club captain Ross Matthews there. Ian, let's talk about that game on Friday night. It scarcely needs a build-up.
No, this is a big game for both clubs. I think Raith, going through such a poor period for, with the start of the season and so well, Dundee United. And I think Dundee United, if they win, they just don't need to get beat. We'll put themselves in it's obviously a really strong position. I think Raith need to reaffirm that they're not just going to try and go for the title, that with Partick Thistle and Morton flying, and also Airdrie, a really good Airdrie side, that they don't want to be falling anymore, further down the league. So I think the atmosphere will be fantastic. I think Dundee United would take a draw right now. Yeah, it's a terrific game to look forward to live on the BBC. I think some of the other games are terrific in the league as well.
Oh, they are. We've got Airdrie against Ayr, Dunfermline, Arbroath, Thistle away to Inverness, Morton away to Queen's Park. Which one are you particularly looking forward to?
Well, I think the one at the bottom, Dunfermline, Arbroath, I think James O'Pake has done a terrific job there, and I think his last two home games have been disastrous, and I think he really needs a result, and so did Dunfermline, because I think this year, after doing so fantastically well last year in the League One, to win it ahead of their big rivals Falkirk, they need a result, and to try and get up the league a little bit. They don't want to finish in the playoff place. And Arbroath, it'll be interesting to see how many. I don't know if you've noticed that Arbroath have been fielding 1, 2, 3 subs in the last number of. So it'll be interesting to see if they can fill the bench and they're a bit stronger, because if not, it's only going one way. I mean, the other games are good as well. Airdrie and Ayr, we'll see how Ayr do under Scott Brown. I've watched Airdrie, and we train at the same place as Airdrie, and they've got some good players. I thought they were terrific against Hearts. I thought they were absolutely terrific. So, Airdrie and Morton are really coming for that top 4, that last place in the top 4, and Raith and Thistle have got to make sure they keep their momentum going, won't drop out the top four.
Thanks very much, Ian. Time for us to wrap things up for this edition of the Scottish Football Podcast. My thanks to Clyde manager Ian McCall and Ross Matthews, the captain of Raith Rovers. And of course, thanks to you folks for listening. Remember, Raith Rovers versus Dundee United live on Sports Scene on the BBC Scotland channel on Friday evening from 7:30. Martin Dowden, Cammy Bell and Gemma Fay will be back with you tomorrow morning. And remember, if you haven't done so already, subscribe and follow so you don't miss an episode.
Just a quick reminder, the Behind the Goals podcast is available every Tuesday with me, Rachel Corsey, and me, Leanne Crichton. It's your one-stop shop for our take on everything that's happening in the world of football. Just head to BBC Sounds or wherever you get your podcasts and search for Behind the Goals.